Success feels hard for a reason, not because you're lazy, not because you're missing motivation, but because everything depends on you. And if that sentence made you defensive, if you thought, well, it has to depend on me, it's my business, then this video is specifically for you. Because that belief is exactly what's making everything harder than it needs to be. Most people think success is hard because they need more discipline, better habits, more confidence. And so they chase those things. They read books on productivity, listen to podcasts, they try morning routines, they hire coaches to help them level up and stay accountable. And maybe some of that does help, marginally, but here's a reality. Success is hard when outcomes rely on human effort. Not hard work, human effort. The difference matters. Hard work can be systematized. Effort is what happens when systems don't exist. Think about it. Every time you have to push through something, every time you have to stay motivated, every time you have to remember to follow up, that's not discipline, that is a missing system. If results require you to remember everything or try harder or being on everything, you don't have a system, you have a hope-based workflow, and hope does not scale. Here's the distinction that changed everything for me. Effort creates progress. Systems create inevitability. Progress is fragile. It depends on showing up. It depends on motivation. It depends on everything going right. That you feel amazing, that you feel motivated. Inevitability is structural. It happens when you feel like it or not, automatically. It happens on your bad days. It happens when you're not watching. Success becomes easy when your outcomes are automatic, not effortless, automatic. The work still exists, you still have to do some work, but it doesn't depend on heroics. When I say systems, most people hear software, dashboards, complicated SOPs, documentation that no one reads. That's not what I mean. A real system is just three things: a rule, a trigger, a default action. That's it. Simple. Here's an example. No system. Follow up when you remember. System. Every lead gets contacted within the first 10 minutes. One relies on willpower. One runs without you. The first one works when you're having a good day, when everything's going right and you feel great. You had enough sleep. The second one works every day. And here's what most people don't understand. Building the system takes less time than managing without one. The overhead isn't in creation, it's the chaos of operating without structure. Every time you have to think about something that should have been automatic, you're paying a tax. Every decision that could have been made in advance is draining capacity that could go somewhere else. Systems aren't just about efficiency, they're about removing unnecessary decisions. If systems are so valuable, why doesn't everyone build them? Because systems remove drama, and most people are addicted to drama without even knowing it. Systems remove hero moments, the need for you to be there, the rush of saving the day, and the feeling of being needed. The story you tell yourself about how hard you work. Chaos makes people feel busy, busy feels productive, and productive feels valuable. But it's a trap, because busy is not productive, and productive isn't valuable if the same outcome could have happened with less effort. Systems make people feel replaceable, and that threatens identity. If the business runs without you, what are you for? That question scares people, so they avoid building systems. They stay in the chaos, they keep being needed, and they wonder why success feels so hard. There's a moment when success changes. When leads come in without effort, when sales are happening without you even being there, and when delivery runs without supervision perfectly. That's when success stops feeling heavy. It's not because you're doing less, but because the weight is distributed differently. The load isn't on your shoulders anymore, it's on the structure. This is what most productivity advice misses. They teach you to carry the load better, to get more done in less time. I'm telling you to move the load somewhere else. The shift isn't working harder on the right things, it's building systems so the right things happen without effort. If success feels hard right now, you're compensating for missing structure. Hard work is usually a signal, it's not a virtue. When you're grinding, when you're pushing, when everything feels like a battle, that's not evidence of dedication, that's evidence of architectural debt. Something upstream is broken, and you're patching it downstream with effort. Smart people burn out like this. Talented founders stall because of this, and hustle eventually fails because of this, because they never replace effort with design. They just get better at effort, or at least try to, until effort runs out. Success is hard until it's engineered. After that, it's boring, and that's the point. The goal isn't drama. The goal isn't the feeling of conquering challenges every day. The goal is building something that can produce results consistently, predictably, and without your constant involvement. Boring means it's actually working. If your business feels chaotic, it's not because the market is tough or the competition is fierce or you haven't found the right strategy or piece of information or secret strategy or pill. It's because the architecture is incomplete. Fix the structure, the struggle disappears. CEOs don't have better time management skills. They have fewer decisions and fewer things competing for their attention. And that is the whole secret as to why CEOs of large companies get way more done than you might do in a year or two. It's the whole secret. Everything else is just implementation. If you've read books on time management, tried productivity systems, and still feel overwhelmed, the problem isn't your discipline, it's that you're playing a different game than the people who seem to have figured it out. Most people think CEOs wake up earlier, code plunge, use better planners, have more discipline than the rest of us, have some sort of insider knowledge. None of that is the real difference. I've worked with many CEOs of multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar companies. I've seen them work in action. I've worked with CEOs, I've worked with billionaires, I've watched how they operate. They don't have special powers. They don't have secret morning routines. They don't have apps that you haven't discovered. What they have is constraints, not fewer constraints, different ones. Employees manage time, CEOs design constraints. That's the fundamental distinction. An employee asks, how do I fit everything in my day? A CEO asks, what shouldn't I be deciding or doing at all? One is optimization, the other is architecture, and no amount of optimization beats good architecture. Here's a diagnostic for you. If you're busy, you're deciding too much, you're doing too much. If you're overwhelmed, you're involved where you shouldn't be. Busyness is not a badge of honor. It's a symptom of unclear boundaries and missing systems. Every time you feel rushed, ask yourself, what decision did I make today that should have been made last quarter? What judgment call am I making repeatedly that should be a rule? What involvement do I have that isn't actually necessary? Time problems are almost always decision problems in disguise. Here's what CEOs actually do with their time. They eliminate decisions, they set rules in advance, they push thinking upstream so execution doesn't require thought. This is counterintuitive to what most people think. We think good executives are decisive, quick thinkers, people who can make calls fast. And some of that's true, yes, but the best ones don't make decisions that fast. They just make them once, they make them in advance. Then they encode that decision into a rule that the company runs on, and the rule runs without them. Here's a simple example. A non-CEO time management. What should I work on today? So you wake up and you think, okay, what am I going to work on today or this week? CEO approach. Mondays are for this, Tuesdays are for that, and Fridays are for nothing new. No decision required. The day is structured before it starts. Energy goes into execution, not planning because it was done a long time ago. The average person spends the first hour of every day waking up and trying to figure out what to do today. The CEO spends that hour last quarter. That's the gap. It's not discipline, it's architecture. Calendars organize chaos. They don't actually remove it. You can block time perfectly and still feel overwhelmed because the blocks are filled with reactive decision. If your week needs constant rearranging, the system is actually broken. The calendar isn't actually the problem. It's not your time. It's the symptom. The real question isn't, when should I do this? It's, should I be doing this at all? Most time management advice helps you fit more things into your day. It's the wrong direction. The goal has never been to fit more stuff in. It's to take most things out. Time isn't managed daily. It's managed over time. CEOs win because they redesign their reality, not their to-do list. They change what exists in the first place. They're the creators. By the time something hits the calendar, the decision to do it was made months ago. No debate, no negotiation, no, should I do this now? Should I do it at all? The architecture is already built. Here's what most people get wrong. They try to optimize hours instead of eliminating entire categories of work. Think about that. You're trying to do email faster when you could be receiving less email. You're trying to run meetings better when you could have less or no meetings at all. You're trying to make decisions quicker when you could be making decisions never. Efficiency is a trap without leverage. Getting 10% better at doing something you shouldn't be doing is a complete waste of time. And most people are optimizing at that level. Here's a CEO rule of thumb to follow. If something repeats, it becomes a rule. If it requires judgment, it's pushed up or removed. Pushed up means decide at a higher level so it never reaches daily thinking. Removed means stop doing it entirely. Delegate, automate, or delete. This is how you stop burning out. This is how you stop context switching all day. This is how you regain mental space. Time freedom comes from structure, not balance. Work-life balance is a myth peddled by people who don't understand leverage. You can't balance a system that's architecturally broken. The goal isn't equilibrium between work and life. The goal is a business that doesn't require your constant attention. Then balance happens automatically. I work 25, maximum 30 hours a week now, not because I'm balanced, but because my system is designed correctly. The hours aren't managed, they're protected by architecture. CEOs don't manage their time. They make certain outcomes inevitable, and everything else just disappears. The calendar clears when you stop doing things that just don't matter. The overwhelm lifts when decisions are made in advance. The stress dissolves when systems run without your involvement. This isn't motivation, it's engineering. And if your days feel chaotic, do not look for better planning tools or systems or productivity books. Look at the architecture. Something upstream is broken. Fix the structure, the time appears.